Chapter 3. Chloe Steele and her roommate strolled across the Stanford campus to their dorm from intramural volleyball, Chloe feeling scruffy in knee pads and a sweaty uniform. "What?" Amy said in the twilight. What? You're looking away again. Crying?" Chloe swore. "I wasn't going to do this." "It's hard," Amy said. "He's not worth it." "You're right, Chloe, he's not. But he was a big part of your life for a long time. Not even a whole semester, just a few months, really. But you loved him. It's all right for you to grieve." "I wish I was grieving," Chloe said. "I wish Ricky were dead." "Oh, don't say that." "The way he treated me, and now married already, I mean it." "I've been through this, you know," Amy said as they mounted the stairs. "You have?" "No, I didn't know." "First semester, senior year of high school." "A year ago?" Amy nodded. "Tell me, the worst part of this is feeling so unique, so alone." "You're kidding, Chloe. If we started a club, we'd have to have the meetings in the stadium. Everybody's been dumped." "That's it, isn't it? I was just flat dumped." "His wife can have him, Chloe." "You can say that again." Amy threw back her head and laughed. "That's the best you can come up with? You want Ricky dead and you spear him with, 'You can say that again? You of the silver tongue?'" Chloe had to smile. "I could invest the time he's not worthy of by coming up with creative insults." "More creative than that? What, like his mother wears combat boots?" They entered their room, and Chloe fell onto her bed. "This is just so maddening. I want to kick someone, punch something." "Ricky." "Yeah, but no. I can't ever let on how much he hurt me. I just have to do something with this anger." Amy sat on the floor beside Chloe's bed. "What's your GPA?" "You know." "Off the charts, yeah. But still, it's not as high as you're capable of." "What are you, my dean?" "No, I'm just saying." "What?" Chloe asked. "Channel your angry energy into why you're here. You can do better than the dean's list. You could push toward a 4.0 the rest of the way and graduate summa cum laude." "Oh, please." "You could. I know you. I see you work and read and study. You're not that far from straight A's. Do it, Chloe. At least think about it." Chloe rolled onto her side. "You'll do it with me?" "Not on your life. I'm here to also have fun. And anyway, I could work twice as hard as you. Hey, I do. And I accomplish only half. How unfair is that? But I'd support you. Give up your extracurricular stuff, maybe all but one thing, and don't make it volleyball. You're not good enough." "You should talk." "But maybe you give up everything except debate and pour yourself into studying," Amy said. "No, guys?" "Are you kidding? What fun you'd be, seeing someone while sniffling over your old boyfriend. I mean, are you available already, really?" "Well, no." "Then write off guys for a while. You're never going to go long without one. I see the way they look at you." "You do not." "Of course I do. I pretend they're looking at me. Don't tell me you don't notice, Chloe. Don't even try that with me." "I notice a little." "Anyway, think about it. It'd be so cool to know someone who conquered this place." "Academically? No one really does that." "Well, then you'd be the first." Abdullah Ababneh, such a lover of Western culture, particularly the United States, that he had become known within the Royal Jordanian Air Force as Abdullah Smith, or Smitty, had hit the skids. His wife, Yasmin, had become an infidel to Islam, a Christian. He had forbade it, they had fought, and she had left with the children. That had catapulted him into a descent into alcohol and adultery that exposed his own phony allegiance to Allah. And now he was living in a small barracks at the Amman air station. Abdullah had long been a star pilot. Young and articulate and even dashing, he had been admired by his superiors and mates. But now he sensed their pity, their sideward glances. How he had fallen. It was all he could do to drag himself off his cot every morning and pretend to be praying. He carried out his duties like an automaton, never smiling, rarely conversing. His immediate superior officer told Abdullah he was worried about him, but Abdullah assured him he was just depressed, out of sorts. "It will work itself out," he said. "I still believe the passage of time will help, provided Yasmin lets me see the children." "You cannot win her back. She was so good for you." Abdullah did not have the heart to tell the man that his wife had virtually died. She must be considered dead to him, that was certain. At times, he believed that Allah would forgive him if he murdered her. In fact, perhaps that was Allah's will. But Abdullah could not, for in spite of himself and all that he knew, he still loved Yasmin with his whole being. He would sooner kill himself than lay a hand on her. Perhaps she would repent of her blasphemy and come back to Islam and to him. Yet he knew better. Though he had ripped to pieces many of her letters, he still kept several. He did not understand everything in them, but one thing was clear: she was devout in her new faith. And she pleaded with him to consider it for himself. Yasmin Ababneh was not about to be dissuaded. Things that had always endeared Irene to Rayford now irritated him. Her fastidiousness, for one thing. He knew he was being irrational. What else would account for such a good trait, making him so crazy? Rayford was growing suspicious of Irene, of all things. This church switch had not made her more obnoxious, as he had feared. If anything, she was sweeter, easier to get along with. The sudden encouraging of his Sunday activities had to be some sort of ruse. But she acted genuinely interested, laid out his clothes, helped him get ready. All this while getting herself and Raimi ready for church. Weekday mornings, especially Rayford's off days, were the same. He was an early riser even when he didn't have a flight, but he was rarely up before she was. The aroma of her special coffee blend, set on automatic timer to start heating up at 6, roused him early. And though he tried, he only rarely succeeded in getting out of bed and into his workout clothes by the time her radio, tuned to the irrepressibly cheerful host of the local Christian station, came on at 6:30. Irene had taken to setting out Rayford's clothes, tuning the workout room TV to ESPN, and being sure the bathroom was all his when he was ready to shower. By the time he descended the stairs, Irene had opened the drapes at the front and back of the house, and sunlight bathed the place. She had become a dream come true, and somehow he hated it. It wasn't that she had become some perfect little goody two-shoes. No, he could tell when he had frustrated her, angered her, make her want to attack. But somehow she restrained herself. She might stomp off, even slam a door. But when she had gathered herself, she was cheerful and helpful and even loving again. She was forgiving him without his asking, and it was driving him crazy. Rayford had grown tired of the nagging and resultant bickering, mostly over church, his use of time, and his not spending enough time with Raimi. But now, this way, all those things were like the elephants in the room. He knew they were at the forefront of his wife's mind, and in some ways, he'd rather have argued about them than pretend they didn't exist. On the other hand, if she was going to let these things slide, he could get used to that. As Rayford pumped away on his stationary bike, or rower, or free weights, trying to concentrate on sports news, he couldn't deny that he knew what was really causing his discomfort with Irene. She was pushing 40. In many ways, he was proud of her. She worked out too, kept in shape, and he'd never had even a twinge of hesitation in introducing her as his wife. She had never been a classic beauty, a head-turner, but she retained a youthful cuteness, and she could be described as vivacious. She had personality. People liked her. So, what was the problem? Hattie Durham. Rayford couldn't quit thinking about her. Young, tall, curvy, blonde, gorgeous. And while Rayford had never bought into the old saws about blondes being dumb, in fact, he knew many intelligent ones, it was true that Hattie was not the sharpest blade of grass on the lawn. It wasn't that she was dense, She had to be somewhat on the ball to already be so close to becoming a senior flight attendant, still shy of her 27th birthday. But she was a very young 26, despite traveling the world. She was not well-read, not up on the news, and seemed to have no world view other than her own interests. But she was sure fun to look at, and be around. And it was clear she was enamored with Rayford, which is what made him so disciplined in his daily workouts. Was he actually hoping something might come of Hattie's flirtations? He knew better than to risk his marriage and family and reputation on a midlife fling. If Irene were a shrew, liberal-minded people might understand some dalliance with a younger woman. No one he knew would question his taste, even if they questioned his judgment. Rayford believed Irene had been edging toward driving him away with her badgering and cajoling. That had made him look forward to flights with Hattie even more. There was a spring in his step when he knew she was on the schedule. But now, suddenly, Irene was acting like they were courting again. She was putting her best foot forward, for some reason. Killing him with kindness? Trying to prove that her newfound religion had really changed her. This was worse than if she'd banged him on the head with her Bible every day. Despite his mental turmoil, at least the cessation of fighting gave him some peace. Trouble was, Irene would have had the right to stay on his case about Ramey. Rayford had slid into simply slothful parenting. After having done fairly well scheduling time for the kids, especially when Chloe, his distaff image, was home, he was now failing with Ramey.